Hi folks. You know, forage is critical to cattle nutrition. When the grass or the hay that you're feeding isn't of the highest quality, well, production can suffer quite a bit. Now, weather is just one of the factors that can lower the quality of your hay or your pasture. However, there are steps that you can take to remedy this situation. Here to talk about that with us today are Ted Perry and Chris Forcario. Good to see you, gentlemen. How are you?
Joe, glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so let's talk about this subject, which is grass tetany, okay? Can you explain, Ted, a little bit about what that is and how it affects the health of the cattle herd?
Grass tetany is low magnesium in the blood. Now that's brought on by a couple of factors. The classic case is in spring lush grass. It's just real low in magnesium. There's just not enough magnesium in the total cow diet to meet her needs.
Right.
A secondary form of grass tetany that we're now seeing is sometimes harder to detect, is from forages that have either been harvested from or grown on highly fertilized pasture where we have a lot of potassium, calcium that ties up the magnesium. The end result is we've got low magnesium in the cows, and we start to see those types of symptoms that we normally see with grass tetany.
Okay, so what causes it? You mentioned that it's kind of a seasonal thing, right?
Traditionally, we see grass tetany in the early spring when the cows are eating lush grass, and those grasses have lots of soluble protein and energy and a lot of water, but a very low mineral content. So we've got cows out there eating grass, and the mineral content won't meet their requirements. And one of the classic things we see is the symptoms of grass tetany when the magnesium levels drop below the critical threshold that's needed.
What are the symptoms of grass tetany?
Well, Joe, as Ted mentioned, it is an issue with magnesium. And magnesium is used in the animal quite often in the central nervous system and how it interacts with calcium in the contraction of muscles. So when you get low levels of magnesium, some of the early symptoms that people will see on their animals is the animals will have a nervous appearance. They'll be alert. They just act like, they just don't feel right. And then you'll start seeing twitching of the face muscles, the ears, the muscle contraction issues. And as those issues progress, all of a sudden the animals start having erratic gait, walking funny, stiff-legged, and eventually, if the depletion is severe enough, the animals basically fall on the ground, go into convulsions. And one of the classic signs is an animal laying on its side, paddling its feet. And a lot of times that whole concave of events only occurs in maybe 2 to 3 hours.
So you've got to keep an eye on your cattle, and those are pretty easy to spot symptoms.
Well, most of the time the cattleman will never recognize it. He goes out, he finds an animal dead. And that's because it happens. It happens so fast, and one of the telltale signs, as I mentioned, is that paddling of the feet, and you'll see marks on the ground where that animal is trying to get up.
Very important to I guess we're talking about supplementing of this. We're talking about the mineral supplements and everything that's caused by this. What are there certain animals that are more susceptible to this than others?
Well, the older animals of the herd are more susceptible than the younger animals, and older. I think most people agree is 6 years of age or older. And the reason they're more susceptible is because they don't mobilize magnesium from their bones and their stores as readily as the younger animals. The lactating animal is more susceptible than the non-lactating. So you got an old animal that's lactating out there grazing cool season grass pastures in the springtime that's been fertilized, and it has been cloudy for 3 or 4 days and cool temperatures. Classic grass tetany symptoms.
Okay. Well, obviously the goal is to reduce the incidence of this, and what can producers do on this one?
Well, what we have to do is we have to get enough magnesium in her diet to meet her needs. Traditionally, we try to do that with a mineral program because when that's something that the cows will eat on a regular basis. To prevent grass tetany, there's usually a two-pronged attack. The first is we start feeding our high mag mineral supplements a month before they go to grass so that we can build up the magnesium levels in that cow to give her reserves for when she goes to grass. And then the second prong is to feed the high mag minerals once they go out to grass. But keep in mind that those girls have been eating stored forages and corn stalks for 4, 5, 6 months. Once they hit grass, our mineral consumption is going to go down. So it's very important to start your mag program early to build that up, and then keep it in the mineral programs throughout the danger season, which is once the grass starts hardening up. then we can reduce the mag content of our products.
Great. And what products are we talking about specifically? I mean, what should you look for in a mineral product that you're using to reduce the incidence of grass tetany?
Well, Joe, most of the products that Purina would offer would fall underneath the family of the Wind and Rain high magnesium minerals.
Right.
And on our loose Wind and Rain products, generally they're going to have about a 10% magnesium in the product line. And if you look at what's important of a loose mineral, and Ted alluded to it earlier, you got to get intake into the cattle. And so there must be a mineral the animals will consume. It must have the right amount of nutrition, in this case, right amount of magnesium at the right intake, and it must be available and digestible and absorbed by the animal.
Yeah.
And that's how the Wind and Rain family of minerals was developed and formulated.
So it's formulated for that. So a good mineral program can make a huge difference.
It can make all the world.
Right. Applied at the right time. So.
That's correct.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for all the information today. It's great to have you on the show.
Good to be here, Joe.
Thank you very much.